Welcome. If your nonprofit raises money, then you absolutely need to know about compliance. This explainer is from our friends at Ironwood Registrations, and it's really designed to help you navigate the pretty complex world of fundraising regulations.
What you're watching is part of our multi-state fundraising compliance series, and our goal is simple, really. We want to translate these confusing rules into practical, actionable steps that your organization's leaders and finance teams can actually use.
All right, let's start with a really fundamental question. Does your nonprofit fundraise nationally? If you're nodding your head yes, then here's something that might actually surprise you. Charitable fundraising, it isn't regulated at the federal level. Nope, it's all handled state by state, which creates this complex patchwork of rules that you have to navigate.
So here's a quick roadmap for where we're headed. We'll start with the basics of what solicitation even means. Then we'll dive into state registrations, figure out when you need to register, cover possible exemptions, talk about staying compliant every year, and finally, we'll map out a clear path forward for you.
Okay, first things first. Let's really establish the foundation here. What do states actually mean when they use the term charitable solicitation, and why do they regulate it so closely? To put it simply, it's a state-level rule. Before you can even ask for donations in a particular state, you often need to register with the state agency first. Think of this registration as a kind of public record. It gives both the regulators and potential donors a really clear look at your organization's mission and your financials.
But listen, this isn't just about paperwork for the sake of paperwork. The why behind these laws is what's really crucial. They're designed to do three main things: protect donors from fraud, promote transparency, and ensure accountability. At the end of the day, it's all about building and maintaining public trust.
So, if the goal is trust, here's where it starts to get a little tricky. The fact that every single state has its own unique approach creates a very complex landscape, especially for national organizations.
Get this, more than 40 states? That's right, over 40, currently require nonprofits to register before they can ask for donations from that state's residents. We're talking about the vast majority of the country here, which means this is a compliance issue that most national fundraising organizations are definitely going to face.
And because each state runs its own show, the complexity just adds up so quickly. You're looking at different forms, different filing fees, renewal deadlines that are all over the map, and unique financial reporting rules for each state. Believe me, there is no one-size-fits-all approach here.
So this brings us to a really critical question for your operations team. When exactly does your nonprofit need to register? Let's talk about the specific triggers.
The trigger is basically any act of asking for donations. And this includes so many of the modern tools we all use every single day. A donate button on your website, those email campaigns you send out, social media posts asking for support, direct mail, and online crowdfunding. You see, even if you're located in just one state, your fundraising can easily reach donors in another, and boom, that triggers registration there.
The bottom line is this. The internet has pretty much erased geographical boundaries for fundraising. I mean, a donate button in California can easily be clicked by someone in Maine. And that means nearly every nonprofit, no matter how big or small, now has to think like a multi-state organization.
All right, now for some good news. Not every organization needs to register in every single state. So let's take a look at the common exemptions and exceptions to find a little bit of clarity in all this.
Certain types of organizations are often exempt. This list typically includes religious groups, educational institutions, some hospitals, and really small charities. But, and this is so critical, an exemption in one state does not guarantee an exemption in another. You absolutely have to check the rules everywhere you fundraise.
Now, there are a handful of states that currently don't require this type of registration at all, as you can see here. But this isn't a free pass. Even in these states, your organization is still subject to all the general consumer protection and anti-fraud laws, so keep that in mind.
Okay, so let's say you've registered. You're not done. It's not over. Let's talk about the renewal process, because staying compliant is an ongoing, annual commitment. So each year, the renewal process generally involves 3 key steps. You'll need to submit your latest IRS Form 990, provide updated financial information, and confirm all your organizational details are accurate. A key challenge here is that the deadlines are often tied to your fiscal year end, which can make it a real headache to track across dozens of states. All right, let's bring all of this together. Navigating this landscape really requires a plan, so let's outline a strategic framework that can serve as your path to compliance. A really strong compliance strategy has 4 key elements. First, you have to actively identify which states you need to register in based on your fundraising.
Second, you have to create a system to track all of those renewal deadlines. Third, continuously monitor where your fundraising activities are happening. And finally, maintain well-organized financial documents. It'll just make reporting so much easier.
You know, at the end of the day, being proactive is really the best strategy you can have. Understanding these laws from the very start helps you avoid fines. It protects your reputation, and maybe most importantly, it allows you to focus your energy on what truly matters, achieving your mission.
Charitable solicitation is just a critical piece of the fundraising compliance puzzle. So, if your nonprofit needs a hand managing these requirements across multiple states, Ironwood Registrations specializes in this exact kind of work. You can learn a lot more at ironwoodregistrations.com. Thanks for watching.